What if everything you believed about scarcity was a lie? What if the struggle, the lack, the desperation was all engineered? They didn't want you to see this. The world's most powerful secret: scarcity isn't natural, it's manufactured. The game was always rigged, designed to funnel abundance upward while leaving crumbs for the rest. The earth has always provided enough food, enough water, enough energy, enough space for everyone to thrive. The problem was never scarcity. It's the bottlenecks they've built, the artificial shortages they've created, and the monopolies they control. Their entire empire depends on one thing: keeping you desperate, fearful, and fighting for crumbs. Because when you're hungry, when you're thirsty, when you're homeless or sick, you don't ask dangerous questions. You don't challenge the system. You simply obey. Tonight, I'll show you how they've weaponized your most basic needs. How they've turned the essentials of life, food, water, energy, and housing, into instruments of control. This isn't conspiracy. This is business strategy. The game is simple. Create artificial limits on what should be abundant. Drive up prices. Extract maximum profit. But it goes deeper than money. When your survival depends on their systems, your freedom becomes negotiable. Your compliance becomes guaranteed. The soil beneath your feet has the potential to feed the world many times over, yet millions go hungry every single day. Why? Because food isn't treated as a basic human right. It's treated as a commodity, a profit center for the few. They've patented life itself. Seeds once shared freely among farmers for thousands of years are now intellectual property. Plant them without permission? That's a crime. Save them for next season? Illegal in many cases. This isn't innovation. It's appropriation of nature's abundance. The global food supply chain isn't designed for efficiency. It's designed for control. A handful of corporations dictate what farmers grow, how food is processed, and where it goes. Local abundance is systematically destroyed to maintain dependence on global systems they control. Water, the essence of life itself. They've turned what falls freely from the sky into a product to be bought and sold. Privatization has transformed what should be a universal human right into a luxury item sold back to you at obscene profits. While communities worldwide face water scarcity, corporations buy up water rights, drain aquifers, and sell bottled water at markups of 2,000% or more. Your thirst is their business model. Your desperation is their profit margin. Energy scarcity is another fraud. The world doesn't need to rely on oil and fossil fuels. Clean, renewable technologies, solar, wind, even free energy devices exist, or rather, they did. Many have been suppressed, ridiculed, or bought and shelved to maintain dependence on controllable energy sources. Energy isn't scarce, it's stolen. The technologies to free us exist, but they're hidden, suppressed, and ridiculed. Why? Because independence terrifies them. An energy-independent population can't be controlled through fuel prices, oil wars, or utility bills. Think about it. Every energy crisis in history has been manufactured. Artificial shortages, market manipulation, geopolitical conflicts, all designed to drive up prices and maintain control. Even as we transition to renewables, the same corporations are positioning themselves to centralize and monopolize solar and wind energy. Housing has become the modern feudal system, chains made of brick and debt. The scarcity isn't accidental. It's a finely tuned instrument of control. There are more empty homes than homeless people in most developed nations. The problem isn't supply. It's the artificial restriction of access. Through zoning laws, building restrictions, corporate buying sprees, and foreign investment, housing that should be affordable is kept artificially scarce. Your basic need for shelter has been weaponized into the ultimate control mechanism, a lifetime of debt servitude, disguised as the American dream. Homelessness isn't just a tragedy, it's a psychological weapon. It serves as a visible threat to the working class. Keep paying, keep obeying, or this could be you. The desperate struggle for housing keeps you compliant, overworked, and afraid to challenge the very system that's squeezing you. And to maintain this system, surveillance has become their most insidious weapon, allowing them to predict your next move before you even consider it. With eyes and ears everywhere, they fine-tune their influence over your thoughts, your actions, and your future. Your smartphone, your smart home, social media, public cameras, facial recognition, wearable devices, DNA testing services, all collecting data that predicts and shapes your behavior. Privacy isn't just being violated, it's being weaponized against you to refine their control systems. But here's what terrifies them. Their entire system depends on your compliance, your belief in scarcity, and your fear. Once enough people see through the illusion, their control begins to crumble. That's why we're having this conversation. That's why they'll try to discredit these truths. In Part 2, we'll dive deeper into how they've weaponized healthcare, education, and finance against you. But first, let's understand something crucial. No conspiracy can survive exposure. When enough people see the truth, their power begins to fracture. Healthcare is the lifeblood of you, and just like every other resource, it's been hijacked to keep you under control. What should be a fundamental human right, your health and well-being, has been twisted into a profit machine fueled by your pain, fear, and desperation. The pharmaceutical industry doesn't profit from cures, it profits from treatments. Chronic conditions are their business model. Why cure diabetes when selling insulin for life is more profitable? Why solve root causes when treating symptoms creates lifetime customers? Consider insulin. Costs a few dollars to produce, but sells for hundreds. People die rationing a medicine that should be affordable. This isn't market forces. It's engineered scarcity of a life-saving resource, deliberately created to extract maximum profit from human suffering. But it goes deeper. Insurance tied to employment keeps you chained to jobs you hate. Medical debt keeps you obedient and afraid. The constant threat of financial ruin from illness ensures you don't rock the boat. Your very survival has been weaponized against your freedom. Education has been co-opted to serve a different master. Instead of cultivating critical thinkers, it's become a factory line, turning out compliant workers, programmed to obey, not question. The system doesn't want innovators and free thinkers. It wants predictable consumers and obedient employees. Student debt is the perfect control mechanism, a life sentence of financial obligation that ensures compliance with the system. As credential requirements inflate, you're forced to spend more time and money chasing degrees that deliver less value, keeping you overqualified yet underpaid. The curriculum itself is designed not for enlightenment, but for obedience to authority, acceptance of the status quo, and glorification of systems that benefit the few. Critical thinking about power, wealth distribution, or alternative systems is systematically discouraged or ridiculed. Meanwhile, elite private schools and universities operate on entirely different principles, teaching leadership, critical thinking, and how to maintain power. It's a two-tiered system, training rulers on one side and the ruled on the other. The financial system isn't designed to empower you. It's a cage, a mechanism for control that ensures wealth flows upward while the rest of us fight over scraps. And their number one tool of enslavement? Debt. Debt is the perfect control mechanism. It's invisible, normalized, and nearly inescapable. Mortgage debt keeps you tied to jobs you hate. Student debt prevents young people from taking risks or challenging the system. Consumer debt keeps you working harder for things you don't need. Inflation, the silent wealth transfer mechanism. By printing money endlessly, they devalue your savings, while assets owned by the wealthy appreciate. It's a stealth tax that hits the working class hardest, eroding purchasing power while enriching those who own real assets. Fiat currency, money backed by nothing but government decree, gives them unlimited power to manipulate the economy. By controlling interest rates and money supply, they engineer booms and busts that transfer wealth upward. Each crash allows the wealthy to buy assets at discount prices from those forced to sell. And now, they're pushing for central bank digital currencies, CBDCs, the ultimate control grid. Every transaction tracked, permissions required for purchases, programmable money that can expire or be limited to approved vendors. Financial privacy and freedom will be eliminated with a keystroke. Your labor fuels their empire, but the system is designed to ensure you never rise above your station. The job market is engineered to keep you running on a treadmill, productive enough to create excess value, desperate enough to accept whatever is offered. Since the 1970s, worker productivity has soared while wages have stagnated. Where did that excess value go? To executives and shareholders. The gap between what you produce and what you're paid is the source of their wealth. It's not that there isn't enough. It's that you're not receiving your fair share. Deliberate scarcity in the labor market ensures you're not collaborating with fellow workers. You're competing against them. Automation is weaponized as a threat. The gig economy is exploitation, dressed up in shiny tech terms, all designed to keep you grateful for whatever crumbs fall from their table. And to maintain this system, constant surveillance in the workplace, productivity metrics tracking your every move, the persistent threat of replacement ensuring you don't question directives. Your economic survival has been weaponized to guarantee your obedience. Privatization is a slow-motion robbery, turning public wealth into private kingdoms. Privatization is theft. It's a heist that turns public resources into private profit, leaving the rest of us to fight over the crumbs. Essential public goods, water, land, energy infrastructure, healthcare, education, all being parceled out to the highest bidder. What your grandparents received as public services, you must now purchase as private commodities at inflated prices. The consequences? Rising costs, reduced access, environmental degradation, community displacement, and unprecedented corporate control over the essentials of life. This isn't progress, it's enclosure. A modern version of feudal lords fencing off the commons. Fear is their ultimate weapon, primal, overpowering, and easily manipulated. Fear of poverty, fear of crime, fear of disease, fear of isolation. They've refined it into a science. When you're terrified, you're predictable. And when you're predictable, you're easy to control. The media feeds you a steady diet of threats, disasters, and dangers, real and imagined, not to inform, but to terrify. A population in constant fear will accept anything in exchange for promised security, surveillance, restricted rights, militarized police, endless wars. Fear keeps you isolated, divided, and dependent on their systems. But there's an antidote. Courage isn't the absence of fear, it's action despite fear. And they can't control a population that refuses to be ruled by fear. Information should liberate, but they've turned it into chains. Through media, education, and culture, they control the narrative, shaping what you think is possible, normal, or worth striving for. The greatest prison is the one where inmates don't realize they're confined. Mainstream media, despite the illusion of choice, is a carefully controlled propaganda tool. 6 corporations control 90% of what you read, watch, and hear. The message is uniform. The system is natural. Resistance is futile. Consumption is happiness. Online, the control is even more sophisticated. Algorithms determine what you see. Dissenting voices are shadow banned, demonetized, and deplatformed. Fact-checkers protect established narratives, not truth. The digital town square has invisible walls. Entertainment isn't just distraction, it's indoctrination. Movies, shows, and games subtly reinforce their worldview. Individualism over community, consumption as fulfillment, violence as solution, authority as necessary. They've turned leisure into a delivery system for their values. But here's the crucial truth they fear most. No conspiracy can survive exposure. Once the truth is out and enough people understand, then they have problems. Their entire system depends on our collective belief, our compliance, our fear. Their greatest fear. That one day we'll recognize our collective power. That we'll see past artificial divisions and realize the abundance that's been kept from us. That we'll reject engineered scarcity and reclaim our birthright of plenty. In the next part of our journey, I'll show you exactly how to break free from their systems of control, how to unplug, resist, and build alternatives, how to reclaim your power, your resources, and your future. But first, let's understand our weapons of resistance. Local resilience is our first line of defense. Growing food, generating energy, building community networks, bartering, skill sharing, all reduce dependence on their systems. When you can feed yourself, power your home, and rely on neighbors, their leverage diminishes. Reclaiming knowledge and skills is crucial. Their system wants you dependent on experts and credentials. Learning to grow food, preserve it, build, repair, heal, and teach others, these practical abilities make you resilient against manufactured crises and artificial scarcity. Challenging their narrative is powerful. Creating and supporting alternative media, sharing suppressed information, questioning official stories, and exposing contradictions all help fracture the illusion. When enough people reject a false narrative, it loses its power, regardless of who controls the major platforms. Demanding systemic change works when coordinated. Organizing against privatization, demanding transparency, supporting decentralization, voting with your dollars, and building alternative systems all contribute to transforming the landscape. Their power relies on our participation in their rigged game. And finally, embrace courage. Fear is their weapon, but courage is yours. When you refuse to be ruled by fear, you become unpredictable, uncontrollable, and unstoppable. Every act of courage inspires others, creating a cascade effect that can rapidly transform society. Hope is rebellion. Believing in a better world isn't naive. It's revolutionary. They want you hopeless, cynical, and resigned to their engineered scarcity. But hope fuels action, connection, and persistence. Without hope, we accept their limitations as reality. With hope, we create new possibilities. We stand at a crossroads. One path leads deeper into their system of engineered scarcity, surveillance, and control. The other leads to abundance, cooperation, and freedom. The choice isn't just philosophical, it's practical, made through our daily actions and what we choose to believe possible. In Part 2, we'll go deeper, exposing exactly how they manipulate healthcare, education, and finance to maintain control. More importantly, I'll show you specific, actionable steps to break free, build alternatives, and reclaim your birthright of abundance. The truth isn't just about knowing, it's about doing. Remember, they didn't want you to see this. They've worked for generations to normalize scarcity that doesn't need to exist. But once you see through the illusion, you can't unsee it. Share this knowledge. Act on it. Together, we can build a world of true abundance, not artificial scarcity. The truth will set us free. But first, it makes us dangerous.